Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the virtual. Excuse me. Welcome to the Virtual Business Opportunity Exchange presented by the Mountain Plains Minority Supplier Development Council. My name is Marvin Lyman, Business Development and Corporate Relations Manager. We are so glad to have you here today. You know, 2020 seemed like it was never going to end. I mean, it seemed like the bad news just kept coming, and there was so much tragedy. And now here we are in 2021, and it seems like, man, we are finally getting some relief. And so I don't know about you, but I'm extremely excited about that. So despite COVID-19, the council never stopped pursuing our core pillars to certify, develop, connect, and advocate for our MBEs and corporate members. I think everyone that has been involved in this endeavor should give themselves a pat on the back for pressing forward and encouraging so many. Today's activities would not be possible without our many sponsors. Our diversity sponsors include Excel Energy and Ball Corporation. Our collaborating sponsors, the University of Nebraska and Mutual of Omaha. Our contributing sponsors, Worldwide Technology, Dell Technologies, Denver Public Schools, Cerner, and Comcast. Our advocacy sponsors, Aero Electronics, Inc., Border States Electric, Charter Communications, Phazon Office Products, Holder FCI, National Renewable Energy Laboratory, and Zones. Our unity sponsors, Blue Bamboo, the MBDA Business Center, Denver, and the Denver CARES Act Assistance Program. Because of their sponsorship, council certified MBEs, corporate members, and strategic partners were able to register at no cost. Thank you, Brandon. And thank you again to our sponsors. You know, in front of you, or each of you should have received our agenda for today. At the end of our morning session, you will receive directions from Belinda to guide you to your next experience for today's BOE. For MBEs, we asked you during registration to rank the workshops according to your interest level, and they have been assigned accordingly. For corporate members, you will attend the first of two scheduled workshops. Welcome again to the 2021 Virtual Business Opportunity Exchange. Please welcome Market President Belinda Hooks.
Well, thank you, Marvin. Good morning, everyone. Our four pillars are clear at the council. We certify MBEs, develop MBEs, connect our MBEs with our corporate members, and advocate for real contracting opportunities. Similarly, we serve our corporate members by bringing the latest and greatest information and tools to help corporate America stand up and strengthen supplier diversity programs. We are the conduit for establishing relationships with quality certified MBEs. Last year, we covered a multitude of topics during our many events. Each subject was carefully selected to help our MBEs and corporate members during the crisis that none of us had ever witnessed before. Whether it was assessing payment protection program funds, EIDL funds, safety tips for preventing the spread of the virus, connecting with MBEs or corporate members, and even pivoting your business, we made it our priority to adjust quickly and efficiently to meet your needs. Thanks to our CEO, we were able to expand our many informational offerings through a special CARES Act grant, no matter the challenge. The MPMSDC continue to work for you. Please help me welcome our CEO of the Mountain Plains Minority Supplier Development Council, Mr. Stan Senna. Stan?
Well, thank you, Belinda. Again, welcome everyone. Last year, just like you, we didn't know what we were up against. But through the help of federal government programs, we were able to launch the CARES Act Assistance Program in conjunction with the Denver MBDA Business Center that we operate. To date, we've facilitated more than 80 webinars focused on MBEs, SBEs, and rural businesses. Those programs were tailored to fight the impact of COVID on our MBEs by helping them understand grant opportunities, pivot with new platforms, secure their workforces, and many other business-related programs to minimize the impact of COVID. Our strategic partnerships with resource partners throughout our 4-state regions have grown. We've even been fortunate to pull in international and national experts to deliver much needed information during this crisis. I'm able to say that we're a better and stronger council because of that collaboration and the support of our corporate members and our MBEs. We're excited about the road ahead as cities, states, regions, and countries open up for business. In this year alone, we've seen remarkable growth as many corporations are stepping forward to join us in making an impact on disinvested communities. Baxter Automotive, Hush Blackwell, Jackson County, Kansas City Public Broadcasting System, CoBank, Holder FCIA, Kiewit, and the SSA Group have all become corporate members. Opportunities are expanding throughout our 4-state region. You're part of that change, and together we're providing the connections needed for this critical time in our country. The path forward is clearly centered around collaboration and creating and finding opportunities, and the MPMSDC is grateful to be at the forefront. We couldn't do this without the support of our great board of directors. Here representing our board is our chair. Please welcome XL Director of Supply Chain Strategic Planning and the MPMSDC Board Chair, Bob Kunze.
Thank you, Stan. Good morning, everyone, and welcome from the Board of Directors to the event today. Really appreciate everyone's engagement and taking the time to join us. It's going to be a great event. Maybe I just take a few minutes to talk a little bit about Xcel Energy. Thank you for noting, Marvin, the sponsorship. Diversity, supplier diversity has been part of our supply chain organization, and specifically the strategic arm within the supply chain for many years now. And through the difficult year that we all experienced in 2020, very proud to say, and some of you might have heard this before, that we actually had a record year for supplier diversity with spend exceeding $640 million in 2020, which is great. But like everything that we do in business, supplier diversity is a continuous improvement opportunity for us. And we can't, rest on the work done previously and not assume that we need to make changes to improve and to be agile and focused on how we get better all the time. So we've got some things going on, that started last year. Our headquarters for Xcel Energy is in Minneapolis. So, certainly a community probably touched as much as or more than any across the country with some of the tragic things that we saw in 2020. And so it really is for us, it's one of the biggest communities that we serve in terms of our 8-state service territory, and the engagement that we're really pushing all the way from the top of the company. Our chairman and CEO is also the chairman of the Edison Electric Institute, which is the industry group for electric utilities, the large electric utilities across the country. And he's made it his #1 priority for 2021 to focus on diversity, equity, inclusion. We've implemented at the corporate scorecard level DEI metrics around our workforce, how we attract and retain talent, and then of course our supplier diversity goals ultimately feed that as well. For 2021, we're going to focus on improving our Tier 1 direct and our Tier 2 spend. Tier 1 direct, we're focused on implementing new inclusivity metrics, rule of one metrics to ensure that we're looking at every opportunity and inviting diverse businesses to be part of the sourcing efforts. For our Tier 2, we've got 60 or so in the program, large primes that we've really focused on partnering with and developing over the last several years and have really made tremendous strides. I think our Tier 2 came in at around 110 million in 2021, and we're going to add deliberately 12 new primes to that program this year, partner with them, mentor them, and get them to the point where they're developing their programs as well. And we're also looking this year to work on workforce diversity within the key suppliers that aren't diversely owned, that work on our construction projects and engineering and things like that, where we're actually bringing folks to our job sites, boots on the ground. We want to partner with those suppliers, understand what their goals are for their own workforces, sort of baseline that and profile it this year, and then ultimately move into, joint goal setting in the future. So those are just a few of the things that we're working on to, again, continuously improve our program, which is important. As far as being on the board, I've been working with the Mountain Plains Council now for several years. For the previous couple of years was vice chair, and now I'm very fortunate to be able to be the chair. And again, just based on what we're doing within Xcel Energy and my organization specifically within supply chain, just aligns really well to being able to participate in external work supporting an organization, a nonprofit organization like the Mountain Plains Council. So just very much aligned from a business perspective and a personal perspective, and I'm very fortunate to be able to do that. And it's events like this that are really important in continuing to improve, to make those connections, to drive opportunities. So I'll probably pause there, Stan, and turn it back over to Belinda. So again, welcome and thank you everyone for joining us this morning, and look forward to the event.
Thank you so very much, Bob, for those comments, the leadership, the sponsorship. We want to thank the entire Xcel Energy team. I know some folks are on this call this morning. Mr. James Garnett, certainly want to thank you. It's Wendy Moreno and all the folks at Xcel Energy in terms of your continued effort to work with minority businesses. So thank you. Through the help of one of our certified MBE firms, Candidate Tools, the council was able to find some stellar talent to fill one of the most important roles in the council. Brittany Joy West-Ware currently serves as the Regional Manager, MBE Services for the Mountain Plains MSDC. Prior to her current role, Brittany served as the head of faculty of a school in the United Arab Emirates, providing coaching, school improvement, and professional development workshops to teachers and students internationally. Brittany's return to the USA has provided an opening for her to allow business owners to gain access and acknowledgement for their services while empowering those who normally would not be provided the opportunity. Brittany obtained her Bachelor's of Arts from Spelman College, Atlanta, Georgia, and her Master of Business Administration from the University of Roehampton, London. Please help me welcome this morning our moderator for our morning panel, Ms. Brittany Joy West-Ware. Brittany.
Thank you, Belinda. It is a pleasure to be with the council, and it's also, of course, a pleasure to work with you. Challenges to supplier diversity during the pandemic is going to be with Luki Song and Joyce Cristiano, and it's brought to you by Xcel Energy and Ball Corporation. We'll begin with an introduction of our two staunch supplier diversity professionals, followed by 5 to 7 minutes of questions from the audience. Your mics will be muted during this session, but you may type comments and questions using our chat feature, and we will address those questions at the end of this presentation. First up, we have Joyce Cristiano, a 30-year legacy Sprint veteran who served as Sprint's manager of supplier diversity from 2009 through April 2020. In this role, she supported corporate business leaders in their efforts to meet supplier diversity goals and wrote annual filings submitted to the California Public Utility Commission, CPUC, and General Services Administration, the GSA. Additionally, Joyce cohesively aligned with the sales proposal team to ensure customer diverse utilization goals were achieved in proposal opportunities to win businesses. When Sprint merged with T-Mobile in 2020, Joyce was named the T-Mobile Senior Program Manager, Supplier Diversity. Please help me welcome Joyce Cristiano. Up next, we have Luki Song. Luki was born in China and immigrated to Denver with her family during high school. Luki graduated from the University of Denver in 2013 with a bachelor's degree in mathematics and economics. After being a loan officer for 5 years, Luki decided that it was time to expand her technology exposure and worked in information security at First Bank for 2 years, With Luki's passion for customer development and community outreach, She accepted a position at First Bank's Multicultural Banking Center as the Assistant Vice President. But recently, Luki was not only celebrated for her success as the Assistant Vice President, but she was promoted to Vice President at First Bank. Luki is committed to her professional strength to help households and businesses grow and succeed. Without further ado, please welcome Luki Song. So,
Thank you.
Really, thank you both for being here with us. I'm super excited to jump into this topic, so let's get into it. Challenges to supplier diversity during the pandemic. It's my understanding that with tightened budgets due to COVID-19, they've caused some companies to roll back their supplier diversity efforts, while others have increased their attention on diversifying their supplier base. Where does T-Mobile fall on that spectrum?
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with everyone. T-Mobile actually procured $2.9 billion of products and services from small and diverse-owned businesses in 2020. We found a way to ensure that majority suppliers were providing opportunities for first-tier spend with small and diverse-owned businesses. So we're very fortunate to align and try to create joint ventures with our suppliers. We've identified more opportunities for software, hardware, office supplies, and that's still underway in 2021. We also understand that working capital has been a concern with some of the small and diverse-owned businesses. So we started or implemented a net 30 payment program, whereas in the past, payment terms were 45 to 90 days. However, we're supporting our small and diverse-owned businesses with 30-day payment terms. Now, we ask that they be nationally certified and CPU certified. So anyone interested in learning more about that program can contact me offline.
I'm gonna go ahead and write your number down. All right, so Luki, unlike T-Mobile, we know that First Bank began to focus more on supplier diversity programs during the pandemic. So what challenges did you all face in trying to onboard more diverse suppliers and standing up for your diversity supplier program?
Yeah, so as everyone knows, well, thank you so much, Brittany, for introducing me. And thank you so much for giving me this platform to present in front of everyone here. This is a really exciting opportunity for us to get to know each other and how everything has been going for supplier diversity. So back to your question, last year was absolutely an interesting year. And that's absolutely interesting year for us to refocus on supplier diversity. It's on our plate already, but then the whole pandemic just ahead made things a little rockier and didn't know how to navigate throughout the whole thing. So what we realized was how important it was to connect with the business owners, to the MBEs. First Bank in Colorado, we're the top originator of the PPP loans. The first round, we originated $1.3 billion. And what came to our attention was there's so many MBs who are lacking information and access for the applications. So the whole initiative and efforts that we've made last year was really prepping them up to understand what the PPP is, how to apply. We have officers, employees who speak different languages to help those MBEs who probably will have a little difficulty speaking English, or maybe they feel more comfortable applying in Spanish. So we did a lot of efforts on that to help with the supplier diversity, because we know everyone was struggling, everyone was going through the whole difficulty and challenges. So that definitely was our focus when we start to refocus on supplier diversity. We want to start from the foundation. How are we going to help them during this challenge?
I love that. I love that you and Joyce both pretty much spoke to access. And that's pretty much what the council does, is try to provide that access. So last year we heard from Truman Medical Center. The CEO was Charlie Shields, and he spoke about the pandemic interrupting its supply chain, specifically as it relates to personal protective equipment. Has T-Mobile experienced any supply chain interruptions or shortages? And how are you able to utilize diverse businesses to help that?
Fortunately, we understand that the businesses were struggling during COVID-19. Therefore, T-Mobile actually executed contracts with 5 additional diverse suppliers to provide PPE equipment. We purchased a lot of masks, gloves, face shields, and protective clothing for our field workers. As we work remote, we purchased more ergonomic items such as chairs, keyboards, anything you could think of ergonomically to support remote employees. We purchased from small and disabled owned businesses. So we've been able to continue our procurement of products and services from diverse owned businesses.
That's amazing. So, Lukey, similar to mobile communications, banking is an essential function of business. Many banks not only adjusted their business model to assist their customers via drive-throughs and things of that nature, but also insisted on pre-scheduling appointments for in-person visits. Did First Bank experience any supply chain interruptions or adjustments or things that you guys had to alter to make sure that those businesses were taken care of?
I really don't think so. First Bank is a community bank, so we really hear from our customers and our suppliers what their restriction is, how they like to do business with us during the pandemic. With the mask, what's their shortage on the on the supply chain. So we really didn't face a whole lot of adjustments that we have to do. Of course, working from home, employees started work from home. We have more office space now, so I can dance when nobody's around. But anyways, we did not have a whole lot of adjustments last year because we're really trying to help and work with all the suppliers, or work with our customers to see what will be the best platform, what will be the safest platform.
That makes sense. I love that. So recently, the Bureau of Land Management approved lithium mining in Nevada against the wishes of many of our tribal area leaders. However, the use of lithium batteries is rising with the increased demand for energy storage. Most cell phones rely heavily on the use of lithium batteries, while the US imports nearly 96% of the lithium. Are there opportunities for minority-owned firms to enter this area of production, or opportunities for corporations to invest in diverse companies to produce these materials that would otherwise be imported?
This is Joyce with T-Mobile, and with me being new to the T-Mobile organization, I'm just being transparent. I am not familiar with this area. However, if a small and diverse-owned business would like to provide a proposal to me, so that I can take it to the executive who manages this area of expertise within T-Mobile, I'd be more than willing to present their proposal and try to schedule time for them to meet with that T-Mobile executive.
Writes that down. Perfect. So this question is going to be for both Joyce and Lukey. So one of the issues that MBEs constantly are voicing, especially to myself, because I make sure that I communicate with them, they're always telling us that, they always want to know the opportunities that corporate America may have not only in the current year, but in upcoming years. What are some of those opportunities? So how do you assist these MBEs in obtaining historical procurement spend? And what are some of those foreseeable contracting opportunities for our MBEs specifically?
Unfortunately, with T-Mobile, we require a non-disclosure agreement prior to releasing requests for proposal information. However, we are developing a sourcing calendar so that we will understand the projects that are in the pipeline, so that I and others on the supplier diversity team are able to identify diverse and small businesses to participate in those RFP opportunities. So we do contact them upfront, request that they sign an NDA, and let them know that that project is in the pipeline and the date that the RFP will be released.
That's great.
Yeah, for First Bank, we do have efforts from externally and also internally. So internally, we have vendor management, and we being diligently analyzing how we spend our money historically. And that has not been, well, that's the thing that we didn't do years ago. So we started to have the spreadsheet last year, and we started to analyze how we spend our money on the suppliers. How can we distribute smarter or in a diversity way? So that's our internal process. We'll have vendor management on board, and they're starting to streamline this procedure. When there's projects in the pipeline, we will advise the project stakeholders that, do you know any MBEs that you can actually work with? And we will work with the council to come up with the list of the MBEs who can provide those services. And that's our internal process. And external process, as me being the branch, I love the whole customer development. I love making connections and relationships. So from this council, I started to know so many different MBEs. I started to take their capability statement. And then I have a periodic meeting with the vendor management to have all those resumes and the list of the MBEs that I've been talking to in our archive database. So in the future, when there's renewal, when there is contract expiration, we will go back to our database and see, hey, those are the MBEs who can provide the same services, so we might have to reach out to them. So we have those efforts internally and externally.
Perfect. That actually gives us lots of insight on just how to connect with T-Mobile and First Bank as well. That's great. So we also know that drivers of supplier diversity can vary from company to company. And in some cases, supplier diversity may be part of the mission for the organization. It emanates from the directive from the CEO, and sometimes in other cases, it's actually the prime goal of the board of directors. What are some key drivers for both T-Mobile and First Bank that help drive your supplier diversity initiatives? And where have you seen some of the greatest support?
This is Joyce again with T-Mobile. We've seen our greatest support with our Chief Procurement Officer, who's one of the best CPOs I've ever witnessed in life. And I'm not just saying that because I work with T-Mobile, but Mike Simpson is an unbelievable CPO. He reviews a monthly scorecard to ensure that we're on point with reaching our external diversity goals. And our VP of procurement, who reports to our CPO, ensures that diverse suppliers are included in all requests for proposal opportunities. If a proposal is getting ready to be released without a diverse supplier being included, she will reject that proposal, send it back to the business unit and ask that they give her explanation as to why a diverse supplier is not included in that opportunity. And I believe that's what supported us in reaching that 2.9 billion in spend with diverse-owned businesses.
For sure. Wow, that's amazing. Lukey.
Wow. That really, yeah. It's really hard to top that.
I'm like, wow, like just for the person to reject it is a bit like, wow. It just speaks to like the dedication, you know, of like wanting to ensure that these diverse suppliers are actually being included. And for the top person to say, I don't even want that proposal because you don't have a diverse supplier on it, speaks to the passion of T-Mobile saying we are committed to being someone that supports minority and diverse suppliers. That's so beautiful. I'm so glad you shared that. Like it was so inspiring. Literally, I know, like, wow. Okay, I know I'm just the moderator, but that was amazing. Go ahead, Lukey. I'm excited to hear about First Bank's opportunities.
Well,
as well.
It's a little hard to top that. So First Bank is all about, our mission statement is banking for good. Banking for good for our customers, employees, and communities. Our CEO, the man I admire the most, Jim Reuter, he's all about community reinvestment. He's all about it. And supplier diversity has an initiative on a lot of committee agendas. And that relates back to community reinvestment. How are we going to make economic impact to the community? How are we going to help the MBEs who really want to thrive in this society? Absolutely, it's banking for good. That's our mission statement. And we're not just helping the customers, we're helping the whole society. We're helping the business owners and see what we can do as banking industry to help them grow.
I I love that. And I think that that's the other big thing. I mean, you and Joyce have both spoke to this access and all those things, but again, going back to that sense of community, it's important not just to have it within T-Mobile or First Bank or the council, but to have it as a whole. If we continue to push the efforts of the community, we'll make a huge economic impact and a huge impact in this world. So from your perspectives, I mean, amazing perspectives. I'm so grateful to be able to moderate this panel, but from your perspectives, what are 3 great lessons? I know 3 is a lot, but what are 3 great lessons that you've learned about supplier diversity during this pandemic?
This is Joyce. I learned that suppliers must be able to quickly pivot their business to add new products. I believe suppliers should eliminate that going alone mentality to actually embrace partnerships with other diverse-owned business or majority suppliers. Also, suppliers could benefit from ISO 27001, which is a standard that involves a business continuity process. So if something like COVID-19 ever hits again, they have that planning and mitigation process already in place, so they'll know how to correctly pivot their business and differentiate themselves from their competitors.
I love that differentiation, embracing all the things. Lukey, what do you think are some great lessons that you've learned about supplier diversity, especially during this pandemic?
There you go. I think I was muted. So just to go back to what Joyce was saying, definitely the pivot. What the word I came up with, one of the 3 things is the resilience. MBEs are really resilient. It's really amazing to see what other projects that they came up with. It's really amazing to see what other services they came up with. Just for example, Zoom. Zoom is not my first language. It's not my second language. It's really a language that's very foreign to me at the beginning. But same thing to a lot of other MBEs as well. So they start to pivot how they provide their services. We start to meet online on Zoom on different platforms. So definitely, I think resilience makes everyone stronger, makes all the MBEs stronger.
I love that. I love that.
And then the second lesson that we learned is to proact and not react. Because of a pandemic, we started to react a lot. We didn't know what to do. We started to wanting to get instruction or navigation from other institutions to see how we can navigate through the whole thing. But if we actually had some agendas or some process that we can proact before things kind of blows up, then that will help us to help each other much better. And the third one is everyone has a piece of a responsibility during the global hardship. What we really understand is no matter what industry you're in, no matter you're in banking, you're in telecommunication, you're in construction, this really is a responsibility for us to help each other. And supplier diversity absolutely does have the economic impact. And we need to have that responsibility of the society to make sure that we all go through the hardship.
It's so true. One of the things that I'm always saying to our MBEs is, life is a buffet and everyone should be able to eat. There's no reason why we all can't reach and eat, each teach and touch each other so that everyone has access to the same opportunities and be successful. So I'm so grateful that you touched on that and how important that is. So what I would like to do is open the floor for questions. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I would love to be able to just ask all the amazing questions that I know you guys have for Joyce and Lukey. All right. So one of the questions that I have is, out of all the successes that you guys have experienced, what is one of those things, one of the wins that you experienced that really made an impact on your position, one of those wins. Just tell us about one of those.
There's so many wins.
Tell us about them all, Joyce. No.
Just having the opportunity to be the champion for diverse-owned businesses so that we can increase our spend, and people are really open to listening and they're interested in hearing what me as a diverse representative for the company has to say. So we've been very instrumental in supporting our internal supply base. I'm now working on a returning citizen program so that those who have been incarcerated within the last 2 to 3 years and they're back out on the streets, I'm working on trying to get returning citizens not only into T-Mobile workforce place, but also in a program that I'm managing external to build towers. So, you know, that 7 to 15 year background check, I'm working on eliminating that so that we can increase our diverse workforce in the telecom space. So that's a pretty big, once I get to that. We already have diverse women and minorities working on towers through this program. However, if I can make that next step of creating the program to support returning citizens, that's when I've really made a difference in the community.
I love that. Thank you for sharing, Joyce. Luki?
I would like to say that the whole PPP program was our biggest challenge and biggest win last year. We helped so many different MBEs. We have this MBC center that you just mentioned about the multicultural banking center. We have officers speaking different languages to help all the MBEs to apply at least for those grants. So we provided so many different resources for employees, for customers, for business entrepreneurs to just help them in their culture, to help them in their language, how to go through everything, how to apply for grants that they truly need during the whole pandemic. So absolutely, I would say the whole PPP program was a win for us, and having this multicultural banking center to help with the MBEs who speak different languages, who have different culture, that's the biggest win for us.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. That's such a win. I mean, I just love to hear the celebratory stories, you know, to be able to share them. So I have some more questions. I mean, you guys are getting all the questions. So the first one I'm going to go ahead and pose is, can you talk a little bit more about your sourcing calendar? How and why was it developed, and has it increased your impact?
Yes, the sourcing calendar, unfortunately, was a legacy sprint process that we're now implementing with T-Mobile. However, it's a 6 to 12 month calendar that lets us know exactly what's getting ready to be bid for suppliers. So that way the supplier diversity team can align diverse suppliers within those areas of opportunity. We try to include at least 5 diverse suppliers for the bid opportunity, but at a minimum 1 diverse supplier in every opportunity. So when that opportunity becomes available, the diverse suppliers are already named to be included in that RFP opportunity.
Okay, all right. The next question is for Luki. Have any of the PPP forgiveness loans happened? Do you know if they've actually occurred thus far?
Yeah, so we opened the platform, I believe, early March for forgiveness program. So we do have a team of officers and just staff members to work through the whole forgiveness program. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I will put you in the right department so that they can help you. But yeah, we have designated department of officers who help with the customers on that.
Thank you. I think this question is for both of you. Are the resources that you guys have discussed, are they listed on your website, or is there access to them?
When they ask resources, are they asking how to register with T-Mobile,
How to register with
Yeah.
T-Mobile, how to gain access to the loan opportunities at First Bank, those types of things.
Yes, everything is listed on the T-Mobile website.
Perfect.
Yeah, you can visit First Bank's website at efirstbank.com. It has an E in front of First Bank. So just so you know, don't go to a First Bank somewhere else, since we have so many First Bank in the nation. Anyways, and you can also reach out to me too. Yeah, I'm very social and I love to make a good connections and relationships. So just to let me know if you have any banking questions or loan questions or supplier diversity questions.
Perfect. So I know the ISO certification process is pretty expensive. Do you guys know, are there any financial resources out there to help our MBEs gain access to that certification?
I'm not sure that there are resources, but I would ask Stan as the president of this organization to support us in responding to that question.
So I would like to say there are a lot of certifications that cost a lot of money, and some MBAs that I know they wouldn't want to, or they don't have the capacity to get certified or to apply for those things just because of the cost. So I've been working with Jefferson County, which is a county in Colorado, to see how we can help the MBEs to apply for those certifications. So maybe we will come up with some sort of a grant to help them. Maybe we will come up with some sort of a scholarship to help them. So I've been working closely. In fact, we'll have a meeting in 2 hours to talk about the whole diversity, equity, and inclusion, to see how we can help the MBEs here in order for them to access and have the grants to achieve the things they want to achieve.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That gives a little more insight for us, huh, Joyce?
Yeah.
So this question is for you, Joyce. What is the most valuable asset or attribute that a minority business enterprise could provide to T-Mobile that you would use? That a MBE could provide to T-Mobile that would make that MBE invaluable to T-Mobile for years to come?
I would believe the most favorable attribute is the opportunity or the ability to sell their company. I've actually introduced diverse suppliers to a VP and they could not successfully pitch their company or sell their company to that executive. And then the executive looks at me as though I've done something wrong. So first off, you have to know how to sell your company, to differentiate yourself from your competitors, and to sell to T-Mobile how you can add value to their products and services. So it's not my role to actually sell your company. It's my role to ensure you have the introduction and the ability to sell to that executive.
That's great advice. I try to definitely mention that during my pre-certification workshops, is be prepared, because you never know when you're going to get the opportunity to speak with a Joyce or a Lukey, and you know how you can sell yourself is the best way to sell your business. So that's excellent advice. So another question, and this one is for both of you: what advice do you have for businesses who would love to work with you but maybe don't have all of the years of experience? What would you advise them to do to make them stand out a little bit more?
As I've stated in the past, that joint ventures, partnering with other diverse-owned businesses, partnering with majority suppliers is an opportunity to actually get your foot in the door. I've actually had diverse-owned businesses contact me, and if they're providing a product or service that's offered by a major supplier, I've introduced them to that major supplier, asking that major supplier to evaluate kind of separating the pie, so if there's a piece of the pie that this diverse-owned supplier could provide, if they would consider actually allowing that diverse supplier to provide that piece of the pie to T-Mobile versus the majority supplier. And I use the example of when you're baking a cake, you may want to buy your flour, your baking powder, all that from Walmart, but certainly you can buy an egg or something from another store, and that's your diverse supplier in order to bring them in to ensure that the pie is baked by not only a majority supplier, but both of you coming together to create that pie.
Great example. Thank you so much, Luki.
Well, I love what you say, Joyce. What you said actually made me a little hungry.
You guys are going to see me, Joyce, and Luki having a little cake later.
I know the whole time when Joyce was speaking, I was thinking about apple pie the whole time. So, eggs. I might want some apples. But yeah, I absolutely agree what Joyce just said. Joint venture is a way to get your foot in the door. And also experience, yes, it's an element, it's a factor to get your foot in the door, but confidence, what really do you bring to the table? So how did you get educated? How do you have those resources? Can you show me, can you show us what you can provide to the table? So experience, yes, it is important, but also what can you bring to the table? What's your capacity? What is capability? What can you do to help the whole industry, or to help different financial institutions or other institutions? So I would say experience, years of experience, it's important, but it's not the only factor that gets your foot into the door.
I love that. I have a few more questions for you guys, so bear with me. Another question that was asked for both of you is, do you all consider feedback from your suppliers? And do you feel like that feedback increases your successful outcomes?
Absolutely. So when we receive feedback from a supplier, one supplier who's actually a staffing company stated that T-Mobile's MSP, which is the managed service provider, takes so many days to pay them, and that also the staffing company, we're able to hire them within 3 months. So if they send us a person to T-Mobile, within 3 months, T-Mobile has the right to hire that staffing person. And so we're looking at opportunities to extend that 3 months to maybe 6 months, so that that small business who actually referred that supplier to Sprint, or that employee to Sprint, will have more time to maintain them and maintain that revenue versus T-Mobile hiring that employee. So it's, every time someone brings a problem to us, we actually discuss it as a team and develop a resolution to support that supplier.
Nice, nice.
Absolutely. Communication is the key. Feedbacks from both sides, feedback from our suppliers, feedback from our just internal departments regarding the suppliers, and have a clear, transparent communication, understand the expectation, understand how the outcome is and what we expect in the future, what they expect in the future, absolutely will help all of us success.
Perfect. This next question is for Joyce. Is T-Mobile participating in the FCC broadband emergency program for low-income households?
To be truthful, our government affairs team manages everything regarding the FCC, so I would have to check with the government affairs team within T-Mobile to correctly answer that question, but I could research and provide information back to Marvin Lyman, and he can actually disclose the information to the team.
We would appreciate that. Thank you so much. So the next question is for both of you. How important are these tier 1 or tier 2 supplier diversity goals in helping your company reach its supplier diversity goals? And how do you communicate this to your majority owned vendors?
At T-Mobile, we monthly request tier 2 spend from our majority suppliers, and the CPUC, which is the California Public Utility Commission, actually accepts tier 2 spend as we're reporting our major filings on an annual basis. However, the government, unfortunately, they want you to subcontract to diverse and small-owned businesses, but the government does not accept tier 2 spend. Therefore, it's important that we stay focused on tier one spend, which is my preference, is tier one spend directly with the diverse or small owned business. So yes, it supports California results, but it does not support government reporting.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so since we just started to refocus on supply diversity, we started to analyze and categorize what that means for us as far as tier one and tier two. To us, we didn't really have that specified for tier one or tier two. To us, it's all suppliers. To us, it's all education regarding supplier diversity. So we started to have a conversation with our construction companies, just the facility department, to have that communication regarding having more diverse suppliers, not just as tier one, also as tier two, that joins the majority suppliers. So we've had a lot of a clear communication with our suppliers, with our different departments, so that everyone's on board that this is a clear statement that we need to talk to all our suppliers, the people we work with, the business we work with, that supply diversity is important. Are you using it or not? So right now we don't have tier one, tier two. It's all mixed together as a whole. But at this point, we think that makes sense for us to understand where we're going to gear to based on this whole entire mission.
And it sounds like one of the key things that both of you have discussed is that really it takes the whole team, right? So everyone has to be on board within the office to know that these are the, the purpose of us is to make sure that we're touching these supplier diversity movements. I'm going to ask one more question. For MBEs who provide services, would you, T-Mobile or First Bank, consider maybe a pilot project at no cost, more like a try before you buy for an MBE product?
It would basically depend on the type of service that they're offering, whether or not it can add value to T-Mobile or not.
I would agree. If all of a sudden it's a cybersecurity product that we highly respect our customers' data privacy, it's really hard for us just to, pilot it and see how that works. What if something wrong happens? So absolutely depends on the services. It depends on the just the capability statement and what this MBE can offer.
Perfect. Well, Joyce and Lukey, on behalf of the Mountain Plains Minority Supplier Development Council, we want to sincerely thank you both for being here and participating in our morning panel. The information you shared, of course, is valuable, but really, it's invaluable for you to even be able to share this information with us. And we know our corporate members and all of our MBE community, they feel much more enriched just because you guys have been able to share your knowledge. So we thank you so much, and we appreciate you being on our panel.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Of course. I'm going to turn it back over to Belinda.
Thank you, Brittany, Joyce, and Lukey. You all did an amazing job. I am here to tell you what's next. You will have a 10-minute break at the top of the hour coming up. We know everyone gets tired of looking at screens, and you may need to reset. So at 10 minutes past the hour, we will resume. MBEs, you have been pre-assigned to an MBE workshop. You will be automatically relocated to that workshop at 10:10 Mountain Daylight Time, okay? Corporate members, you have been pre-assigned to the corporate member workshop and will remain in this main room. We will begin the corporate workshops at 10 minutes past the hour. So at this time, we're going to ask you to enjoy your break, refresh, get some coffee, get a mid-morning stack. Make sure you look at the program booklet, but be back here at 10 minutes past the hour, Mountain Daylight Time. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you at 10 after 10.